This wedding was an assignment for my Religion 2 class in Catholic school.
This one's wife. The worst judgment in the world. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Cameron Roy poses the question, does this one's wife have the worst judgment of anyone in the entire world? Well, the answer to that is yes. There you are. That was a short video, wasn't it? Hang on a second. Let's examine why that might be and what the evidence is behind it, and moreover, what it is that Cameron Roy identifies as resulting in this worst judgment of anyone in the entire world. Mr. Roy writes, when this one's wife officially joined the royal family by marrying Prince Harry in May 2018, she was tipped as a future star due to her dazzling smile, you mean rictus grin, and empathetic nature, cognitive empathy or false empathy. But fast forward to 2024 and this one's wife, along with her husband, who once beat the late Queen in a poll of the nation's favourite royals, shows how far he has fallen, fled the firm to live out their lives in increasing insignificance in California. Tina Brown, the former editor of Tatler and The New Yorker, believes this one's wife's dramatic fall from grace and relevance is because she has the worst judgment of anyone in the entire world. See parts passim. She stated, she's a perfectionist about getting it all wrong. She really is. Her issue is that she doesn't listen. She hires all these people, asks them their opinion, and then doesn't follow it. She does what she wants to do. And all of her ideas are total crap, unfortunately. Tina Brown not holding back in the slightest. Now, I've explained to you previously that the reason that this one's wife exercises such terrible judgment is a combination of the fact that she, 1, isn't as clever as she thinks she is, 2, isn't that clever at all, 3, she believes that she knows best, which is the haughtiness of her narcissism. She believes that she's superior to all around her. That is the default setting of the narcissist, which means that people should always understand what she needs without her necessarily needing to articulate what she requires. That she needs to be able to get what she wants, and people should just do it because it's her. For instance, I can't believe I'm not being paid for this walkabout. She believes that she's far cleverer than she is, far more effective than she is. She understands herself to be the centre of the universe, and that whatever she says is hugely effective and memorable. But we've seen time and time again the fact that she has exercised awful judgment. But this Daily Mail article highlights for us in considerable detail a variety of the different questionable judgment calls that she's made. It starts off with starting off on the wrong foot with Kate. Shortly after she became involved with the royal family, this one's wife courted controversy when it was revealed that her relationship with her sister-in-law, Kate Middleton, who is beloved by the public, quickly turned sour. Prince Harry said in January 2023 that trouble was brewing behind the scenes at Kensington Palace from the offset of his romance. Although Harry claimed that the Prince and Princess of Wales were religious viewers of Suits, or rather this one's wife caused him to write that, he said it was fair to say that his family didn't get on with his wife almost from the get-go. He explained there was a lot of stereotyping that was happening that I was guilty of as well, or in other words, his wife has told him that he was guilty of stereotyping when she was devaluing him, and she has also revised history to suggest that it is stereotypical behaviour of the people around her. In actual fact, the likes of William, as a no-nonsense normal, saw through her and recognised that she was problematic. She, of course, doesn't see herself as problematic, and therefore it must be that they're being prejudicial and stereotyping her. She got off on the wrong foot with the Princess of Wales because she viewed her as a threat. She viewed her when she was the Duchess of Cambridge, as a threat to her status, a competitor, and therefore, rather than look to get along with someone who also had married into the royal family, she instead turned her into the nemesis. There's also the emotional conflict with Kate over Princess Charlotte's bridesmaid dress, which you're fully familiar with. In his book Revenge, Tom Bower claimed unnamed sources told him the Duchess of Cambridge and Duchess of Sussex disagreed over the length of Princess Charlotte's hemline and the fit of her dress. He also claimed this one's wife's insistence was supported by bridesmaid Jessica Mulrooney, adding, "Some would say that this one's wife compared Mulrooney's daughter Ivy favourably against Charlotte." This, of course, is the triangulation of the narcissist. Then we have the revision of history, where this one's wife, in the bombshell Oprah Winfrey interview, claimed that it was the other way round and said that the Princess of Wales was upset about something, but she owned it and she apologised and she brought me flowers. There's a questionable judgment call with regard to the secrecy over the birth of Prince Archie. This one's wife made what could be regarded as questionable decisions after the birth of Prince Archie. Buckingham Palace initially announced that this one's wife had gone into labour early on May the 6th, 2019, but it turned out the palace later corrected its statement, claiming her son had already been born at 5:26 a.m. The couple chose to dismiss the conventional public photo call post-delivery, instead sharing more private first photos of Archie captured at Windsor Castle a few days after his birth. They also didn't reveal the identities of Archie's godparents. Harry said that they got abuse for not wanting to serve our child up on a silver platter. There was also the fact that they ditched the traditional issuing of the names of the consultants and their hospital in a proclamation posted outside Buckingham Palace. They also chose not to make the birth certificate public, to keep these details out of the public domain for even longer, instead only submitting it to the local registrar. That, of course, is in stark contrast to Kate and William, who carried out the traditional royal duty for the births of all three of their children. And this questionable judgment not only alienated people, but has resulted in many people querying the circumstances of Archie's birth. See, for instance, my recent video about how the story behind his birth simply doesn't stack up. A further questionable judgment call was airing her grievances in the tell-all chat with Oprah, which I don't need to go into any further detail in respect of that. It's well-versed. There's also making fun out of the Queen with the deeply exaggerated curtsy, which made critics wince when a giggling this one's wife appeared to mock her own efforts of following royal protocol as she recounted the surreal moment she first met the Queen. Next up, there's going with Harry to accept the Pat Tillman Award, despite objections from Mr. Tillman's mother over the award. Harry faced calls to reject the award because it has typically gone to unsung veterans. More than 76,000 people signed a petition demanding the decision was reversed. Nevertheless, not only did he turn up, she turned up as well. See parts pass him for her behaviour at that event, which included, of course, walking out part way through, resulting in people expressing their anger at such behaviour. Another questionable judgment call was not having a defined brand and instead latching on the Twitter cause of the moment. Tina Brown argued that this one's wife lacks a defined brand and instead latches on the Twitter cause of the moment. Speaking to the Washington Post, Brown said that the Duke and Duchess completely underestimated what their life would be like without the palace platform. In the interview, he claims that the Duke of Sussex is in a much better spot than this one's wife, thanks to the Invictus Games. That's what his brand should be. Just forget everything but the Invictus Games. It's authentic. He really was extremely impressive as a soldier. In contrast, Brown said this one's wife has lacked focus since leaving the firm and doesn't really have a brand. You feel like she's grasping something at whatever is the kind of Twitter cause of the moment. It's vaccinations, it's Ukraine, it's women's rights, it's, hey, it's my 40th birthday, let's do a mentoring scheme. Nothing is really going anywhere for this one's wife. And again, as I've explained before, that's as a consequence of her narcissism, whereby if it can achieve something by just talking about it rather than doing, that's what happens. Another failed judgment call was hating royal tours and not understanding the representational role of the British monarchy. Apparently, Brown claims that an insider told her that this one's wife apparently hated every second of her Australia tour in 2018 and did not understand the point. So, this one's wife must have been thrilled with it all, right? No, she apparently hated every second of it. She didn't understand why things were set up in that way. Instead of being excited when thousands of people showed up at the Opera House, it was very much like, what's the purpose? I don't understand this. She didn't seem to grasp the representational role of the British monarchy when they toured, adding she was more interested in causes she wanted to spotlight. Brown's claims are supported in an article published in The Times in 2021, which asserted that this one's wife found it silly when people crowded to see the Sussexes when they arrived in Sydney. What are they all doing here? It's silly, she reportedly said to her team. A source said she simply didn't get it. There was a lack of warmth when she attended the LA Children's Hospital Gala. Lizzie Cundy explained that this one's wife was just there for the photographs. There wasn't a great deal of warmth from people when she arrived. She wasn't there long. She seemed to be just there for the photographs. The claims that she used the scene of a school shooting in Uvalde as a public relations exercise is another listed failure of her judgment, which, of course, resulted in her being labelled the Ghoul of Uvalde. Then there is wearing a £5,891 outfit on a visit to underprivileged children in New York. This is 3 years ago, when she turned up as the Bouncing Berry of Harlem, or Chairman Mao does New York. 94% of the children at the school qualify for free meals, but along comes this fuckwit wearing an expensive outfit, demonstrating once again her questionable judgment. Again, there's also the decision to Megxit the royal family in 2020. The author of this article suggests that the most egregious decision was to leave the royal family altogether. Tina Brown stated that it was a disaster for both sides and that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are addicted to drama. Well, this one's wife is addicted to fuel, which is generated by drama. Accordingly, that's a list of some of the poor judgment that she's exercised, but you could add so many more to that. The suggestion that she's 43% Nigerian, the attempts to grab the mic at the Kevin Costner event, her clothing choices, particularly when she's been going to schools. There are so many instances of poor judgment calls, and this happens because she has no emotional empathy, which prevents her from reading the room effectively, and her cognitive empathy misfires, so that in certain instances the responses that she provides are about seeking the prime aims rather than behaving in a way which is acceptable to people. Thus, with this misfiring cognitive empathy and her narcissism driving her to pursue the prime aims of control and fuel and character traits and residual benefits, repeatedly she does things which are questionable. Moreover, because she lives her life so publicly that she has to display so much of what she does, again, because of her narcissism, this has resulted in her being scrutinized. Furthermore, because she's unpopular, she's no longer given the benefit of the doubt by many people. Thus, she makes questionable calls driven by her narcissism, which then become exposed because of her narcissism, and she isn't given the benefit of the doubt because she's unpopular because of her narcissism. All of this is driven by her misfiring narcissism. If she kept quiet, her narcissism operating in a more discreet fashion, she wouldn't be scrutinized as much, she wouldn't be as unpopular. But her style of narcissism has been such that she wants to always be seen, always wants to be known, has to be front and center. And the result is, not only does she make these questionable judgment calls, the world gets to see them and then points them out and ridicules her. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.